The hum of machinery grew louder as systems awakened one by one. Red emergency lights cast long shadows in the cold metal corridors of the colony ship Harbinger. The vessel had drifted silently through the void for 3,000 years, carrying the last remnants of humanity in its frozen chambers. William Carter opened his eyes for the first time in millennia. The cryopod hissed as it opened, releasing a cloud of vapor. His muscles ached as he tried to move. The emergency revival protocol had activated automatically, which meant something had gone very wrong. "Status report," he mumbled, his voice rough from disuse. The ship's artificial intelligence responded immediately. Emergency protocol Alpha 79 activated. Earth monitoring beacon went silent. 2,997 years ago. Automatic course correction implemented. Current location, Sector 42, Orion Spur, inside, Nebula Cloud. Power reserves at 62%. 9,988 souls remain in cryosleep. 12 have been lost during the journey. William sat up slowly, processing the information. Earth's beacon gone silent. That could only mean one thing: Earth was no more. He closed his eyes, allowing himself a brief moment of grief. The revival chamber door slid open and Lisa Martinez stumbled in. As the ship's historian, she had been programmed to wake up second in case of emergency. "Captain Carter," she said, her dark eyes wide with fear. "Please tell me this is just a drill." William shook his head. "The AI says Earth's beacon went silent almost 3,000 years ago." Lisa's shoulders slumped. The Council. It had to be them. She moved to the central console and began typing rapidly, accessing the ship's database. The last transmission we received before entering deep sleep warned us about them. The Galactic Council saw us as a threat. Why would advanced aliens see humans as threatening? "We had barely reached Mars," William said, joining her at the console. The screen filled with data as Lisa pulled up historical records. It wasn't what we were, but what we could become. Human evolution was progressing at a rate that alarmed them. Look at these projections they made. The screen showed graphs predicting human advancement over centuries. According to the data, humanity would have surpassed several council species within just a few hundred years. So they wiped us out before we could challenge them, William said bitterly. How many ships got away? Unknown. Harbinger was one of 50 vessels launched. In the final days. We lost contact with the others during the escape, Lisa replied. A soft alarm sounded from another part of the ship. William moved quickly to the bridge, his body slowly remembering how to function. The ship's sensors had detected something. Multiple artificial structures detected throughout this sector, the AI announced. Design patterns match Galactic Council. Architecture. Nearest outpost is 4.3 light-years from current position. Keep us hidden in the nebula, William ordered. We can't let them know we survived. Over the next few days, more crew members were awakened. Kevin Dawson, the chief engineer, worked to restore the ship's systems to full power. Olivia Wright, head of security, began training exercises to prepare for possible threats. 5 days. After the initial awakening, Dr. Samuel Hayes made a discovery that changed everything. "Captain, you need to see this," he said, excitement clear in his voice despite his exhaustion. "I've been running tests on our blood samples, comparing them to the baseline records from Earth." William looked at the complex genetic diagrams on the screen. "What am I seeing, Doctor?" "Evolution, Captain. Accelerated evolution. The energy fields from the cryopods, combined with cosmic radiation during our long journey, have altered our DNA. Nothing dangerous," he added quickly. "In fact, quite the opposite." Samuel pointed to various highlighted sections. Enhanced cellular regeneration, improved neural connections, and in some cases, like Olivia and Lisa, the beginning of what might be limited telepathic abilities. "You're saying we've evolved during our sleep?" William asked. "Precisely. The very thing the Council feared might happen has occurred, just not the way anyone expected. We're stronger, faster healers, and potentially smarter than our ancestors were." Later that night, William stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars through the nebula's colorful gases. Olivia joined him, her face serious as always. My team is ready for reconnaissance, she reported. We've modified a shuttle to mask its human origins. We can gather intelligence on the current state of the galaxy without being detected. William nodded. Proceed with caution. We need to know what we're up against. Do you think we're all that's left? Olivia asked quietly. Just 10,000 humans in the whole universe? Before William could answer, Lisa burst into the observation deck, her eyes wide with excitement. You need to hear this, she said, activating a portable communication device. The sound that filled the room was scratchy and distorted, but clearly, a voice speaking in alien language. What is it? William asked. It's a transmission I intercepted from a trade vessel. They're talking about something called the Lost Ones, who were scattered among the stars when their home was destroyed. Captain, they're talking about humans. There are legends about us throughout the galaxy. You mean we might not be alone? Olivia asked, a rare smile crossing her face. I don't think we are, Lisa replied. The transmission mentioned colonies beyond Council space where some of the Lost Ones found refuge. William looked back at the stars, a new determination filling him. Then our mission is clear. We find these other humans, gather our strength, and then, Olivia prompted. And then we make the Galactic Council pay for what they did to Earth. Not just for revenge, but for justice. They committed genocide against our species, and they need to answer for it. The three humans stood together in silence, looking out at the galaxy that had almost forgotten them. After 3,000 years, humanity had returned. And this time, they would not be so easily erased. 5 years passed since the Harbinger emerged from its long sleep. The humans had established a hidden base inside a dense asteroid field. They named it New Haven. The massive chunks of space rock provided natural cover from scanning systems, while the metals in the asteroids confused sensor readings. Captain William Carter stood in the command center, studying the three-dimensional map of known space. Red markers showed Council territories which covered nearly 70% of the galaxy. Small blue dots represented their growing network of allies and informants. Operation Shadow is proceeding as planned, Olivia Wright reported as she entered the room. Now Fleet Commander, she oversaw their covert operations. Our agents have successfully infiltrated 12 Council worlds. They're sending regular intelligence updates. William nodded with satisfaction. And the biological masking technology? Dr. Hayes says it's working perfectly. Our people can move among different species without detection. The Council still has no idea humans have returned. This was their greatest advantage. The Council believed humanity extinct, erased from the universe. They never thought to look for human biological signatures in their security scans. In his laboratory, Dr. Samuel Hayes adjusted the settings on a device attached to a volunteer's arm. The machine hummed softly. This new model should last 3 months before needing a recharge, he explained. It will mask your DNA signature and project a Centaurian biological field instead. Remember, you'll look human to yourself and other humans, but any Council technology will register you as a Centaurian traitor. The volunteer, a young scout named Eric Foster, examined the device with interest. Will it hold up under deep scans? It's designed to. We've tested it against captured Council security systems. Just avoid medical facilities if possible. They have the most advanced scanning technology. Meanwhile, in the communications center, Victoria Reyes monitored incoming transmissions from their network. A particular signal caught her attention. She quickly notified William. Captain, we've made contact with a species called the Drexians, she reported excitedly. They've been sending encoded messages through trade channels for months, trying to reach anyone who might recognize old Earth communication patterns. William arrived at the communication center within minutes. What do they want? They say they've been hiding human survivors for centuries, Victoria explained. The Drexians were punished severely by the Council for helping humans escape after Earth's destruction. Their homeworld was stripped of resources, and they were scattered across the outer systems as slave labor. William leaned closer to the screen, reading the decoded message. They mentioned something called memory keepers. What is that? An underground organization, Victoria replied. They've preserved human history, passing it down through generations. The Council made it illegal to even speak of Earth or humans. The Memory Keepers kept our legacy alive in secret. This news spread quickly through New Haven, bringing hope to many. They were not alone after all. In the following weeks, Eric Foster led a team to investigate abandoned outposts at the edge of what was once human space. They discovered old Earth colonies, long deserted but partially intact. These weren't destroyed by the Council, Eric reported upon his return. They were evacuated in a hurry. Look at these logs we recovered. The data showed that at least 3 other colony ships had escaped Earth's destruction. They had established temporary bases before moving deeper into unknown space, beyond the Council's reach. They left markers, Eric continued. Subtle signs that only humans would recognize. Star patterns carved into metal, Earth constellations hidden in maintenance logs. They were leaving breadcrumbs for other survivors to follow. William ordered immediate missions to follow these trails. If other human colonies existed, finding them was now their highest priority. While these discoveries brought hope, Diana Wells and her infiltration team were uncovering darker truths. After months of careful planning, they managed to access a high-security Council archive facility disguised as maintenance workers. Diana downloaded classified files dating back to the time of Earth's destruction. The information they contained was more disturbing than anyone had imagined. It wasn't just fear of our potential, Diana explained during the debriefing. The Council discovered something in human DNA that terrified them. A rare genetic sequence that, when fully developed, could neutralize the psychic abilities of the Zalari, the dominant Council species. William frowned. What do you mean, neutralize? The Zalari use their psychic abilities to control the other Council species, Diana explained. Not directly, but through subtle influence. Suggestions that feel like your own thoughts. Fear responses they can trigger. But humans were naturally resistant. And as we evolved, that resistance was growing. Stronger. Lisa Martinez, who had been studying the recovered files, added, according to these records, the Council didn't just fear we might become their equals. They feared we might become their masters, able to block their influence while developing our own abilities. The evidence was clear. Earth hadn't been destroyed in a show of force or as a preventive measure. It had been an act of terror from a species that had recognized a true threat to their power. The final piece came when Diana revealed coordinates found in the deepest level of the archive. These point to a location beyond Council space, a place referred to only as Sanctuary. The notes indicate it's the largest surviving human settlement. William stood before the gathered crew later that evening. The mood was a mix of determination and cautious hope. For 5 years we've built our strength in secret, he said. We've established networks, gathered intelligence, and developed technology. Now we know we're not alone. Other humans survived, and they've been hiding, just as we have. He pointed to the map showing the coordinates of Sanctuary. Our next mission is clear. We find this place. We unite with our lost brothers and sisters, and together we begin planning not just for survival, but for justice. The crew's response was resolute. After 3 millennia, humanity was done hiding in the shadows. The time had come to step into the light and face those who had tried to erase them from existence. As the meeting ended, William looked at the recovered star maps. Somewhere out there, beyond the reach of their enemies, other humans were waiting. The scattered children of Earth would soon be reunited, and when that happened, the Galactic Council would learn the true meaning of fear. The Harbinger emerged from jump space near the coordinates marked as Sanctuary. The ship's sensors scanned the system carefully, looking for signs of life or danger. What they found surprised everyone on the bridge. Captain, I'm detecting a massive energy shield surrounding the 4th planet, Kevin Dawson reported from the engineering station. It's unlike any Council technology I've seen before. William Carter studied the readings with interest. Can they detect us? I don't think so. The shield appears to be focused on blocking incoming scans rather than extending outward. They're hiding just like we were. Before William could respond, a signal came through on a frequency that hadn't been used since Earth days. Unknown vessel, a stern voice spoke in clear, if oddly accented English. You have entered protected space. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed. William exchanged glances with Lisa Martinez before activating the communication system. "This is Captain William Carter of the Earth vessel Harbinger. We are human survivors seeking sanctuary." A long silence followed before the voice returned, noticeably shaken. "Repeat your identification. Did you say Earth vessel?" "Confirmed. We are the colony ship Harbinger, launched from Earth before its destruction 3,000 years ago. We were in deep space hibernation until 5 years ago." Another pause, then, "Prepare to receive a guidance beam. Follow it exactly. Any deviation will be considered hostile." The Harbinger followed the beam through a hidden passage in the asteroid belt surrounding the system. As they approached the planet, the shield opened briefly to allow them entry. Below them spread a green world with sparkling oceans and white clouds. It looked remarkably like old Earth. A small group of ships escorted them to a landing facility built into the side of a mountain. Armed guards surrounded the Harbinger as its main door opened. William led a small delegation down the ramp, his hands raised to show they carried no weapons. A tall man with a serious expression stepped forward from the greeting party. "I am Marcus Bennett, leader of Sanctuary Colony. You claim to be from Earth itself?" William nodded. "The Harbinger was one of the last ships to escape before the Council created the artificial singularity that destroyed our homeworld." Marcus studied them carefully. "If you are truly from Earth, you are the stuff of legend. The last ark, we call it in our stories. A ship that carried the seeds of humanity into the deep black, never to return." His expression softened slightly. "Until now, it seems. Over the next few days, the Harbinger crew learned the history of Sanctuary. It had been established by the combined survivors of 3 colony ships that escaped Earth's destruction. Over the millennia, they had built a society that included not just humans, but also other species who had fled Council persecution. "We number about 50,000 humans now," Marcus explained as he showed William around the central city, "plus another 30,000 from 17 different species. All of us have suffered under Council rule." The architectural style was a mix of Earth traditions and alien influences. Buildings rose organically from the landscape, some built into hillsides, others stretching toward the sky. Gardens filled every available space, creating a lush green environment. Natalie Cooper, the colony's strategic advisor, proposed an ambitious plan during a meeting with the Harbinger's officers. "What you bring changes everything. For centuries, we've been focused solely on survival. Now with your ship, your technology, and your people, we can think about fighting back. What do you propose, Muo?" William asked. "An alliance of the Forsaken," Natalie said firmly. "A coalition of all species who have suffered under Council rule. Each brings unique abilities and resources to the table." She activated a display showing representatives of various species. "The Varine have advanced stealth systems. The Imdari are mechanically enhanced with superior computational abilities. Those Orans can exist as a gaseous form, able to infiltrate sealed environments undetected." "And what do we bring to this alliance?" William asked. Marcus answered, "Hope. For 3,000 years, most oppressed species believed humanity was extinct, destroyed by the all-powerful Council. Your return proves the Council is not all-knowing or all-powerful. They can be defeated." Later that week, Captain Carter and his officers made a critical discovery while working with Sanctuary scientists. The Council maintained its power through a network of devices called anchors placed throughout the galaxy. These anchors create fields that suppress technological advancement and certain evolutionary paths in subjected species, Dr. Hayes explained, studying the data. But human biology is naturally resistant to these fields. That explains why humanity was advancing so rapidly, Lisa realized, and why the Council found us threatening. Dr. Hayes nodded. Exactly. While other species were being subtly held back, we were developing unchecked. Working with Sanctuary scientists, Dr. Hayes began developing devices they called disruptors that could temporarily disable anchor fields. Initial tests showed promise, but the devices needed to be placed dangerously close to Council hubs to be effective. The Alliance scored its first major victory 3 months later. Intelligence gathered by the human infiltration teams identified a prison world designated Holding Facility 37. The facility contained millions of prisoners, including thousands of previously unknown human survivors captured over the centuries. Commander Olivia Wright led the liberation mission. Using Vereen stealth technology and human-designed disruptors, they neutralized the facility's defenses before the Council forces could respond. The prison break freed over 2 million beings, all potential recruits for the growing resistance. However, the victory came at a cost. 17 Alliance vessels were destroyed in the battle and over 300 fighters lost their lives. More concerning was that the Council now knew they faced organized opposition. Intercepted communications show they believe they're dealing with an outside invasion, Victoria Reyes reported during the mission debriefing. They don't yet suspect that humans have returned. William leaned back in his chair, considering this information. Good. Let them chase shadows while we grow stronger. The most surprising development came a week later when a secure transmission arrived from an unexpected source. The message originated from within the Council itself. The Eridani representative wishes to establish contact, Victoria announced with disbelief. According to this message, the Eridani secretly opposed Earth's destruction but were outvoted by the other Council species. Can we trust them? Olivia asked, suspicious as always. William considered the question carefully. We'll proceed with extreme caution. But if this is genuine, having an ally within the Council would give us a critical advantage. As the message ended, a set of coordinates appeared, the location of a secure meeting place beyond Council space. William looked at his officers, determination in his eyes. Prepare a ship. If the Eridani truly want to help us, they can start by telling us everything they know about Council weaknesses. The Alliance had begun to take shape. From the scattered survivors of a destroyed world, a force was emerging that would challenge the power that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. The Council had tried to erase humanity from existence, but instead had created their most dangerous enemy. And now, that enemy was coming for them. 10 years had passed since the Harbinger emerged from deep space sleep. The Alliance of the Forsaken had grown into a formidable force. What began as a small resistance movement now controlled nearly 8% of galactic territory, areas they called free space. Fleet Commander Olivia Wright stood on the bridge of the Liberation, a massive warship converted from an old mining vessel. Her fleet consisted of 67 ships of various sizes, all modified for battle. They hovered at the edge of the Proxima system, preparing for their next strike. All ships report ready, her second-in-command said. Disruptor teams are in position. Olivia nodded. Begin the operation. Instead of attacking Council military targets directly, the Alliance focused on disabling the anchor network. Each successful mission freed another section of space from technological suppression, allowing more species to break free from Council control. The battle for Proxima lasted only 6 hours. With the anchor disabled, the local population rose up against their Council overseers. By the time Council reinforcements arrived, the system had already declared its independence and joined the Alliance. Back at Sanctuary, William Carter met with the Alliance leadership to discuss their next moves. The room contained representatives from 23 species, all united by their hatred of Council rule. Our strategy is working, William said, pointing to the star map. By targeting the anchor network rather than engaging Council fleets directly, we're expanding our territory while minimizing casualties. The Vereen representative, a tall being with silvery skin, leaned forward. We have disabled 12 anchors so far. Each victory has allowed more worlds to break free. Ambassador Ryan Mitchell entered the meeting room, returning from his diplomatic mission to meet with the Eridani representative. His face showed both excitement and concern. The situation within the Council is changing, Ryan reported. 3 of the 7 Council species now secretly support our cause. They fear that the dominant Zalari have too much control. Can we trust them? Asked Marcus Bennett, still cautious after centuries of hiding. Ryan displayed the data files the Eridani representative had provided. They've given us access codes to critical Council facilities. The information has checked out so far. William studied the files with interest. We need to test these codes carefully before using them for any major operation. While the leadership debated strategy, Chief Intelligence Officer Grace Peterson worked with her team to analyze the massive amount of data they had gathered from Council systems. Late one night, she made a discovery that would change everything. "I've found it," she announced during an emergency meeting. "The location of the central anchor." The room fell silent. The central anchor was the hub that coordinated the entire suppression network. Council propaganda claimed it was housed on their sacred homeworld, protected by their combined fleets. According to these files, the sacred homeworld is a lie, Grace explained. The central anchor is actually located on an artificial station at these coordinates. She displayed the location on the map. It's heavily defended but not impenetrable. William studied the defenses. A direct assault would cost too many lives. We need another approach. After days of planning, a bold strategy emerged. The Alliance would launch a major attack on Council shipyards as a distraction, while a small stealth team would infiltrate the central anchor facility. William insisted on leading the stealth team himself. "I was there when we learned Earth was destroyed. I should be there when we strike back." The mission launched 2 weeks later. Olivia commanded the main fleet in a daring attack on the Council's largest shipyard in the Centauri sector. The battle was fierce, drawing Council forces away from other areas. Meanwhile, William's team used a small Varine stealth vessel to approach the central anchor station. The access codes provided by the Eridani worked, allowing them to dock undetected. "Remember," William told his team as they prepared to disembark, "our goal is to plant the disruptors at key points throughout the station. We are not here to engage enemy forces unless absolutely necessary." The infiltration proceeded smoothly at first. The team moved through maintenance tunnels, avoiding security patrols. They planted disruptors at the first 3 target locations, without incident. At the 4th location, they encountered unexpected resistance. A security team had noticed the subtle energy fluctuations from the disruptors. A firefight broke out, and 2 members of William's team were injured. "Fall back to Point C," William ordered. "We still have the main target to hit." The central control room was more heavily guarded than their intelligence had suggested. William realized they couldn't reach it without being detected. "Change of plans," he said. "Louise, give me all the remaining disruptors." While the rest of the team created a diversion, William used his natural resistance to the anchor field to approach the central core. He felt the pressure of the field trying to slow him down, but his human physiology fought against it. With Council forces closing in, William planted all the remaining disruptors around the main power conduit. He barely escaped as the devices activated, temporarily neutralizing the central anchor's power. Across the galaxy, the effects were immediate and dramatic. As the central anchor went offline, the entire network weakened. Suppressed worlds experienced what many later called the Great Awakening, as populations suddenly realized they had been manipulated for centuries. Reports flooded in from Alliance outposts. Spontaneous uprisings erupted on hundreds of worlds as people broke free from Council influence. The Council declared martial law across their territories, but their forces were stretched too thin to maintain control. The mission succeeded, but at a heavy cost. Nearly 40% of Alliance forces were lost in the diversion battle. Williams' team suffered casualties as well, though they managed to escape the station before Council reinforcements arrived. As the Liberation limped back to Sanctuary with the remains of the fleet, Olivia received an urgent communication from intelligence sources deep within Council space. "The Council has convened an emergency session," she told William when his team returned. "They're desperate and afraid." Grace Peterson analyzed the intercepted Council communications. "They're activating something called Protocol Zero. According to these files, it's their last resort weapon." The data showed the Council had begun preparing dormant singularity weapons, similar to the one that destroyed Earth. These weapons were positioned near major population centers throughout the galaxy. They're threatening to use them on rebellious worlds unless the Alliance surrenders, Grace explained, her voice tight with anger. "They would rather destroy half the galaxy than lose control." William's face hardened as he looked at the information. The Council was willing to commit genocide on a galactic scale, just as they had done to Earth. "Send a message to all Alliance forces," he ordered. "The final phase begins now. We have 72 hours to stop them before they deploy those weapons." The war had reached its critical point. The next 3 days would determine not just the fate of humanity, but of all free species in the galaxy. The next 3 days saw frantic activity across Alliance territory. All available ships were mobilized. Former enemies set aside old grudges to face the common threat. The Council's threat to use singularity weapons had united the galaxy in a way nothing else could. In his laboratory on Sanctuary, Dr. Samuel Hayes worked without sleep, finalizing what he called the Genesis Protocol. For years, he had studied the recovered Earth genetic archives, seeking a way to counter the Council's most destructive weapons. "The singularity weapons operate by creating a point of infinite density," he explained to William and the Alliance leadership. "But they require precise quantum alignment to form properly. If we can disrupt that alignment, we can neutralize the weapons." William studied the complex diagrams on the screen. "Will it work?" "In theory, yes. The technology is based on Earth's genetic patterns, the very thing the Council feared. Our natural resistance to their control extends to a quantum level." Samuel gestured to the device behind him, a small cylinder that pulsed with blue energy. "We've created 20 of these Genesis devices. They need to be deployed near each singularity weapon before activation." Across the room, Lisa Martinez worked on a different project with Sanctuary scientists. They had recovered an ancient human device from one of the abandoned outposts, something the early colonists called a quantum resonator. It was experimental technology, even before Earth's destruction, Lisa told the others. It amplifies human, telepathic abilities, allowing for a temporary mental connection across vast distances. "And you want to use this now?" "Why?" William asked. "Because words alone won't win this war," Lisa said firmly. "The Council has spent thousands of years spreading lies about humanity. Many species fear us without knowing why. We need to show them the truth, not just tell them." The Alliance prepared for a multi-pronged assault. Fleet Commander Olivia Wright would lead the main battle fleet against the Council's defensive forces. Captain William Carter would head a diplomatic mission to the Council chambers themselves, broadcasting evidence of their crimes to all species under their control. Meanwhile, special teams would deploy the Genesis devices near each singularity weapon. As the fleets prepared to jump to their targets, William addressed the combined forces via holographic projection. 3,000 years ago, the Galactic Council tried to erase humanity from existence. They feared what we might become. Today, they will learn what we have become. The first phase of the plan went smoothly. Using the access codes provided by their Eridani allies, Alliance forces bypassed outer defense systems and approached the Council homeworld. But the Council was not unprepared. As the Alliance fleet emerged from jump space, they faced the combined might of the loyal Council forces. The battle erupted across the system, ships firing energy weapons that lit up the void like artificial stars. William's diplomatic vessel slipped through the chaos using Vereen stealth technology. They reached the massive space station that housed the Council chambers, where representatives from thousands of worlds gathered. "We're receiving a security alert," their pilot reported. "The Zalari Supreme Counselor has initiated emergency protocols." "Hurry," William ordered. "We need to reach the broadcast center before they lock everything down." Inside the Council station, panic had spread. Many representatives were evacuating, while others demanded explanations from the 7 High Counselors. The Zalari Supreme Counselor, a tall being with pale skin and large eyes, stood at the center of the chamber. "The terrorist forces have been contained," he announced. "There is no need for alarm." At that moment, William and his team burst into the chamber. Alliance soldiers secured the entrances while William approached the central platform. "People of the galaxy," he began, his voice carried to all worlds through the Council's own communication network. "I am Captain William Carter of Earth." A shocked murmur ran through the assembly. Earth was a forbidden word, a planet struck from all official records. 3,000 years ago, the Council ordered the destruction of my homeworld, William continued. They feared our potential and decided genocide was the answer, but some of us escaped, we survived, and now we have returned. He uploaded the evidence they had gathered, the classified files showing the Council's deliberate destruction of Earth, their suppression of other species through the Anchor network, and their plans to use singularity weapons on any who resisted. Even now, the Council prepares to destroy more worlds, William told the stunned audience. They would rather commit genocide than lose control. The Zalari Supreme Councilor shouted orders to cut the transmission, but the damage was done. The truth had been broadcast across the galaxy. Near the main power core of the station, Lisa Martinez activated the quantum resonator. Thousands of human volunteers throughout Alliance space connected their minds to the device, creating a vast network of shared consciousness. For a brief moment, the emotional impact of Earth's destruction and humanity's long exile flowed through the network. Billions across the galaxy experienced the sorrow, the loss, and the determination that had driven the human survivors for 3 millennia. Council soldiers throughout the system hesitated, suddenly experiencing the truth firsthand. Many laid down their weapons, unable to continue fighting after feeling the emotional impact of Earth's destruction. On the Council homeworld below, the Zalari leadership realized they were losing control. In desperation, the Supreme Councilor initiated a sequence to trigger all singularity weapons simultaneously. "They're activating the weapons." Grace Peterson's voice came through the communication system. "All teams deploy Genesis devices now." The special teams raced against time, placing Hayes's devices near each singularity weapon control center. As the weapons began their activation sequence, the Genesis devices pulsed with increasing energy. Aboard the Liberation, Olivia Wright watched as the tactical display showed the status of each weapon. One by one, the singularity initiation sequences failed as the Genesis devices disrupted their quantum alignment. The Supreme Councilor's last gambit had failed. With the singularity weapons neutralized and the truth exposed to the galaxy, Council authority crumbled. The Zalari leadership was isolated and eventually captured by their own security forces. In the aftermath, representatives from all species gathered to form a new galactic covenant. For the first time, humans sat as equals among the galactic community. Genesis protocol was adapted to create a new homeworld for humanity, using the genetic archives preserved aboard the Harbinger. While Earth itself could not be restored, the new planet, named Remembrance, offered a fresh start. 1 year later, William Carter stood on a hillside overlooking the first human settlement on Remembrance. The buildings were simple but growing quickly. Around him, humans worked alongside members of other species, former enemies now allies in building a better future. Lisa joined him, looking out at the new world. "Do you think we've truly found peace?" William considered the question. "Not peace. Justice. The Council tried to erase us from existence. Instead, they scattered the seeds of human resilience across the stars. Below them, a memorial was being erected. It contained soil from the Harbinger, the last Earth from Earth, with a simple inscription: "We remember, we return, we rebuild." The ancient hatred that had driven them for so long had been transformed into a determined purpose. Humanity had not just returned and taken vengeance, but had helped forge a more just galactic society. As the twin suns set on Remembrance, William reflected that this new beginning was perhaps the greatest vengeance of all, not just to survive but to thrive and build a better galaxy than the one that had tried to destroy them.